Now the first thing that I need to do with this piece of oak is to remove its outer and inner bark, and I can use a knife for this task, but with a knife I run the risk of it gouging the wood. If I gouge the wood, I would have to sand it all smooth, and that'll reduce its circumference, and I don't want that. Or I can leave the gouge and that creates a weak spot. But to avoid that, I use stone, and this is a piece of chert that's about 1.5 miles from this location, and there's quite an abundance of it at this quarry. So this is a nice sharp stone. I can get some really nice flakes off of this, and I'll work slow at removing the bark. So here are a few flakes that I can use, but I want to try to get a bigger piece. Here's a really nice flake. I'll hold on to that. So I got quite a few flakes of all different shapes and sizes, but just to show you how well a small piece of debitage will work, it'll absolutely remove the bark. Like I said, this chert, it's nice and glassy, and it's very sharp. Realistically, a couple small pieces will take care of this entire stick. But it's much easier to use a bigger piece. All right, so as you can see, we have the bark removed from the stick. I just have a few little pockets here and there, and that's no big deal. So at this point, I measure about 4.5 to 5 inches from the bottom of the stick, and I use a hatchet and a knife to create a gradual taper and a point at the end. And that's the area that'll penetrate the earth's surface. So I'll show you how to do that right now. So the first tool I'll use is a hatchet, and this oak is pretty solid, so I'm just going to slowly chip out this. This is a pretty straight grained piece of oak. It actually came from the bottom of a bow stave, so that's perfect. And it won't travel off to the side. So I just slowly chip at this. And if there's any knots like there is right here, I just go right through it. So when you do this, again, you want to work slow. You don't want to rush the process, because if you rush it, you could gouge the wood and cut too deep. So now I have this thing pretty roughed out with the hatchet, and it's taken shape really nice. So what I'll do now is I'll just finish this by cleaning it up and create an even more drastic tip at the end. And then after that, we'll fire the stick. So again, I just slowly remove the wood. I don't want to dig too deep. It's very difficult too with oak because it's such a dense wood, but something like willow or sycamore or cottonwood, it's very easy to. If oak has a grain that's spiraling around or it's twisted, it has a tendency to travel. And so with that, you want to really work slow. Even doing push cuts is a very safe method. But I don't have to worry about that with this piece right here. Like I mentioned before, this was the bottom piece of a bow stave, so the grain runs nice and straight.